Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking entrepreneurs to own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson, and if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. With nearly 1,300 salons located throughout North America, Fantastic Sams Hair Salons is the world's largest full-service hair franchise with an excellent reputation for providing quality hair care services for the entire family. We're meeting with Scott Colabuono, and Scott is the CEO for Fantastic Sams, and also franchisee to the Fantastic Sams franchise opportunity, Rich Upson. And that's coming up on segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interest and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneurs to own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And today's show is being launched by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only magazine that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees, and is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
I'm doing well today, Marty. So far, how about you? How's your week?
Good. It's been a cold week. It's not so nice. Lots of icicles, and it's not even snow anymore, Don. It's ice. It's
right.
Part of living up in the Northeast, right? We're going through the same thing down there. So
it's a tough winter, just like last year. We've had two tough winters in a row, and it's only halfway over.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you excited for the Super Bowl?
Well, we're having some people over our house. We're having a Super Bowl party, so I would have liked for the Giants to get in there, but that's the way it goes.
Or even the Jets, I guess, right? I don't know.
A little more local excitement, but it'll be a good game. Exactly. It's fun. It's fun watching the new commercials and being with friends.
Yeah, well, now that I'm out in Pennsylvania, I have to go for Pittsburgh, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
Actually, New York is closer to where I am in Pennsylvania than Pittsburgh is. But, it should be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to it. And franchising, Don, is always involved in the Super Bowl as well, isn't it? I mean, you'll see advertisers like, I guess we'll see Subway, I suspect.
Right.
This year, I know they usually sponsor a lot of shows. I know Burger King was involved to some capacity in previous years, the 4 years we've been doing the show as well. So
maybe Dunkin' Donuts. That's interesting. Yeah, we should count up the number of commercials we see that are franchise businesses.
That's a good idea. And those commercials are usually fantastic, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. So it should be an interesting game. Our last show, Don, we met with Greg Carafello of Cartridge World. And Cartridge World, single business, is refilling and remanufacturing of printer cartridges. Their customers are offered an alternative to purchasing very expensive new printer cartridges, resulting in huge savings. Greg is a fantastic speaker. I love having him on the show. I think this was our second time having Greg on the show. And he really presents it in an intelligent manner, makes a lot of sense when he's talking about Cartridge World. I've always loved this model, having the dual streams of income where you can sell business to business and you can sell business to consumer. It seems like this is becoming more popular, So what are your thoughts on last week? Anything stand out? Or?
Yeah, well, we always talk about having guests back on and companies to do a follow-up, and this was interesting because it had been a couple of years, and they had some pretty big changes at Cartridge World. I thought one big thing is not having the franchisee have to change the toner cartridge. I guess it's done out of main hub or headquarters, which allows the franchisee to concentrate in other areas like building sales and customer service and so forth. So I thought that was a real big change, a real positive change for franchisees. And I think they're just they're bigger, better, more well known. It's Greg's spearheading that, and so that's what we always try to do on the show. Right. And I'm not sure how many times we've done it. We've probably had we've had a good amount of companies back on, like even today's show, Fantastic Sams. We met with a couple area developers here locally. Like what you said, it was more than 3 years ago.
I think it was 4 years ago. I think it was the third show we ever did. It was in, if I look on the calendar, it was in 2006. I think we did that show.
Right.
Long time ago.
Right.
4 years we've been doing it, and it seems like yesterday that we had Fantastic Sams on the show. And it's always fun to get to watch the growth, when someone comes back on the show, and you discuss the changes that have taken place over the last 4 years. Greg said something interesting. He was saying that, and I agree with him, that a recession is really, I think, one of the best times to get into, let's say, a franchise or even a business, sometimes, particularly a franchise. Landlords are giving some great deals right now, and I think a lot of times landlords feel a little more comfortable giving a deal to like someone like a Cartridge World or even like, let's say, a Fantastic Sams, because they're recognizable names, and they're usually there in that location for a long time. It's usually sometimes 5-10 years, So they must make great clients from a landlord capacity, and there's some really great deals being made out there right now too as well. So. And I think this is a great opportunity for someone perhaps like, let's say, with like a business background, a background in business. Perhaps they were let go from corporate America, and it just seemed would be like a nice match, or a nice segue into the next chapter of your life if you don't want to go back to corporate America. Greg is very blunt, saying, when you're 50 years old, it's pretty difficult to get back in there, isn't it, sometimes? I mean,
yeah.
So
And also they brought back their total investment size. That was, I guess, maybe lower build out. Looks like they cut costs in other areas, so it's even a little less expensive to invest in a cartridge roll compared to a few years ago.
Yeah, it's unusual, isn't it? To see the cost actually go down,
right.
than up. I mean, typically, I think we usually see it go up. So yeah, it's great show. And again, we're going to continue to keep our eyes on them, and again, have Greg back again as they continue to grow.
Right.
So, and as you're saying, we have a great show today too. I think everyone knows this particular franchise, don't they? Fantastic Sams.
Right, Scott Colabuono, and then a franchisee in Texas. So interested to hear their story. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and again, it's always fun having the franchisee on the show as well, Don, because, again, there's so many franchise opportunities out there. I guess one of our questions for Rich is, why Fantastic Sams? Why this particular industry? Why franchising?
Right. Yeah.
So that's always great. And I know you had some interesting articles. I know you were up late last night. You said you were scanning the internet for some...
Yeah, didn't get any sleep last night. That's a dedication I have to franchise interviews. You're right.
You sure do.
Here's something out of Colorado by David Young. Caregiver turns layoff into rewarding new career. It goes, Mark Stanley invested 30 years of his life, Marty, into the cement and concrete company, only to be laid off unexpectedly and left to care for his widowed mother. He didn't know at the time that caring for his elderly mother would lead to his next career. The 52-year-old Colorado resident didn't know what to do in December 2008 when he lost his job. This is kind of common. What you just had mentioned, what Greg had said. Sometimes you're
right.
50 in your early 50s and something unexpectedly happens. What do you do at that point? Most people told him to get back to work as soon as possible in his field, but he took a pause. Rather than jump headfirst into another manufacturing job, Stanley decided to take some time to get perspective. He was able to narrowly survive with his severance pay, savings, and his wife's income. In April of 2009, shortly after losing his job, unfortunately his father died. And his mother, who has an illness, had to move in with him. She was unable to care for herself. While looking for a job, Stanley soon realized how competitive the market was during the height of the Great Recession. Rather than take a lower-paying job, he started looking into opening his own business by the franchise route. Jobs were pretty limited. It was tough, he says. He didn't want to go on unemployment. If I make half of what I used to make, I might as well work for myself, he said. While researching potential business options, he stumbled across Home Helpers, a franchise that offers caregivers who provide clients with non-medical care and companionship. Caring for his mother at the time, he was acutely aware of how useful such a service could be to the elderly and their families. This year alone, Marty, an estimated 10,000 people per day will turn 65 years old, he says, citing the built-in client base he has waiting for him as the baby boomer generation ages.
Wow.
And he soon after launched his franchise, and that was kind of an interesting story because here he's caring for his own mother. Had some tough things happen with his parents. He starts looking for a business, and he started thinking, I might, why don't I do something like this?
Yeah, those numbers are amazing too, aren't they, Don? When you look at them, the
right.
market size. This industry, just in general, is fascinating to me. It just
right.
keeps getting bigger and bigger. There's a lot more competition out there today, of course, than there was 11 years ago. I remember a handful of senior care franchises, 11 years ago, and today it seems like there's a lot more. I think we might have even had, I don't know if you remember this, Home Helpers on the show. Did we have
right.
those guys on the show or not?
We've had a few of these companies on in the past.
Four of them, on the
right.
show. And, all of them, I think, offer something a little different than the others. But, just as far as the industry goes, great industry.
Right. Yeah, so, and then the article went on talking about just they're going to be seeing growth in the franchise industry for this year. We've gone over some stats over the last few weeks. There's over 35 million people in the country who are age 65 or older. So that's, we've talked about this particular demographic and why these type of franchises have become so popular. Because it's a service. It's a need. Most people are more comfortable living from home. It's a lot cheaper. The person is happier. So I can see why these type of franchises, this particular service, has really done well.
Yeah, I remember there was a survey out there. One of our guests was mentioning it was like, I think we were given a 90%. But you're right, Don. Most people would rather stay home than go to a nursing home. If given a choice. Right. Yeah. I thought the number was like 95% or 98%. It was a crazy number. But, yeah, I mean, it does make sense. And I think it's one of those, what I've always liked about that particular industry is that I think it's a feel-good franchise opportunity. It's one of those things I think where, yes, you have the opportunity to make a nice amount of money and make a living, but I think you're also doing something great at the end of the day, too. And again, you have to ask yourself as the prospective franchisee when you're looking, does that sound like something you might be interested in doing? It's
right.
You have to ask those deep-rooted questions, don't you?
Right.
And say, what do I want this franchise to do for me?
And it kind of leads me into my next article here by Ron Consolino. This is from the Old Security Financial Group, the Chronicle. Ask plenty of questions if weighing a franchise. And a little Q&A. Any advice on franchising as a way to satisfy my small business ownership ambition? And it says, franchisors provide a proven successful structure, base, and system to allow franchisees from having to start from scratch. Franchisors also provide continuing guidance, innovations, marketing materials. According to the IFA, franchising opportunities expand almost daily. With these advantages, the franchising failure rate is much lower than that of an independent business. You still have many of the same risks and challenges of an independent business, though. The franchisee still must have the necessary skills, commitment, and drive to make the franchise successful, says Hassan Humani, president of Murphy's Deli Franchising. He also advises that, as with any other kind of small business, you must prepare as a thorough, well-crafted business plan to map your franchise's growth strategy. Preparing a business plan will help you to determine where you want to go and the best way to get there. You'll also be able to set experience and performance milestones for steps such as purchasing additional franchises. Franchise owners have no special legal protection after they purchase the business. The FDD is prepared by the franchisor and informs the buyer about the franchise before the sale, but afterward you are legally required to abide by its rules and requirements.
Right.
So
very important.
We're both big fans of business plans, me being in the franchise financing industry where that's needed when someone's applying for a business loan, and on your end with you being a professor and just in general, anytime getting into business, it's so important to have a business plan in general. You got to have your goals written down on what you want to do, and this was an interesting point. I mean, sometimes people aren't maybe going to think long term. They might think, okay, I'm going to buy a franchise, open the first one, but you should kind of have a game plan on how many you want to open the first few years, and always put it in writing, and always be reviewing your short and long-term goals.
Yeah. Remember, if you go back to Michael Gerber's great quote, people don't fail because they think too big. People fail because they think too small. Right. And I always think of that, is just somebody who just wants to possibly say, okay, I just want to own one franchise unit. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of think that even Greg was saying when we had him on the show last week, how a lot of those franchisees, they want to buy multi-unit franchises. I mean, imagine owning like 4 of them in Manhattan, what that would be like.
Right.
Look at all the business there alone is just amazing. I think that's an excellent point, Don, and I'm glad that we always get back to the basics in the show as well.
Like even the next point,
to get off track.
Right. In researching franchisors, visit their locations and examine their processes. Ask the owners if they would buy the franchise again. If the franchisor is providing enough support, it's the part of a franchise, you get ongoing support, but make sure you ask the franchisees you're calling while you're doing your due diligence, is the head office, the franchisor, providing enough support, and if the experience is living up to their expectations. these relationships will also be helpful should you decide to move forward with the franchise purchase. So like what we always do, we give good practical advice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, the franchisees, they have no, they don't make money by someone buying into a franchise. And I think a lot of them are willing to share that information because they were in the same position once too, weren't they? Where probably someone was kind to perhaps help them out and answer questions originally in the beginning, on a particular franchise. And, so they were new as well, So from what I've heard, in many cases, a lot of franchisees are willing to share the information. And I don't think you want to just call just one or two, do you?
Right.
Try to call as many as possible. Julie Bennett, when she wrote the book, it was the Franchise Times book, which was fantastic, and I don't have it in front of me right now. I think she was mentioning that you should call was it 80? I'm going to have to go back and look at the number. It was an amazing number. I said, my God, how long would that take?
Right.
To call 80 franchisees, and then make a decision from there. Because, again, you're going to hear different things. The more people you talk to, you're going to hear different things. And, then you have to make the decision at the end of the day. Is this for me or is it not for me? But going back to the article, asking the right questions. You have to know what questions to ask.
Right.
And we've mentioned them a lot in the show over the last 4 years, haven't we, on what questions those should be. Some of them are very deep questions.
Also, in part of the franchise disclosure document, franchise owners who decided not to continue on with the franchise, or you should try to give a call to, if you can get their number, find out their information, or maybe who's no longer in the system. Why did they decide to not continue to stay with the franchise? Because most have 10-year agreements. It could be a lot of reasons. They retired, they sold, or there was no one to take the business over. It could be a lot of reasons, but you might want to try speaking to a few of those people. When we have a franchise system,
it could be personal.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say it could be health reasons, maybe somebody wasn't, they're 60 years old and something happened, and they just couldn't. It's not always a bad thing if somebody hasn't continued with the franchise system, but I think it's in someone's best interest to do everything they can to try and contact the past franchisees as well.
And when you have a franchise system with a couple hundred franchises, not every single person is going to be gung-ho and say great things because, everybody's different. And maybe sometimes people don't completely follow the system and they haven't done as well, and maybe they're not as 100% high. That's why you have to really call several to get a good overall feel.
It's not for everybody,
Yeah. It could come down to your, to your local market and your location and how hard you work and how much you follow the system and being a little creative sometimes in your marketing, because I imagine you always want to maybe try other things in your local marketing that might not be part of the normal franchise system advertising and marketing plan. All important things.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And as Greg was saying last week, sometimes there's really no limit. It's hard work. The harder you work, of course, the more money you're going to make.
Right.
And you always have somebody who does better in a system. You have your top franchisee, and there's always someone on the bottom. You ask yourself, why is that person on the bottom? I think one of the reasons is probably that they simply don't follow the system done. They should have never got into franchising. When John Hayes says franchising isn't for most people, I remember the first time he said that. It was at one of the conferences, I think it was in Washington, D.C., first time I heard him present. I said, I was a little confused. I said, what do you mean it's not for everybody? And sure enough, doing this now for 11 years makes a lot more sense today than it did back then, when I first heard those words. So,
Right, probably one of the most important questions, right, about, it's at what level entrepreneur you want to be. If you want to make all your own decisions and be creative and do something new, franchising's not the right fit. If you're fine with the model and you're willing to follow the system, remember we had that guest on that time, Marty, who think maybe had a military background, or just in general, just had the right attitude coming in that, you know something, I don't want to have to spend time staying up late, speaking to all these different marketing and companies to market and advertise. I want to just follow the system, do exactly what they tell me. I don't want to do anything else, and that person was one of their better franchisees.
Yeah, I think that was Liberty Tax. I remember the quote was always brilliant. You know, he says, "I'm not creative." You know, he said he took an honest assessment. He said, "This is one of the things. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not creative. I don't want to invent anything. I just want to follow the system." And sure enough, he was one of the most successful franchisees to Liberty Tax. You know, and when John Hewitt asked me, he said, "How did you do it?" He goes, "I just did what you told me to do." You know, and that was it.
Right.
It really is that simple. Is following the system that the franchisor has created, and you know what, you're going to be okay. So, yeah, it's a great article, Don. You know, it's well done. Good choice for today's show.
Thanks.
So, why don't we do this? I see our guest has called in. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic, where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth Advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth! Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment, and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2600. 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today with nearly 1,300 salons located throughout North America. Fantastic Sams Hair Salons is the world's largest full-service hair care franchise, an excellent reputation for providing quality hair care services to the entire family. And we have the privilege of meeting with the CEO of the Fantastic Sams, Scott Colabuono, and also multi-unit franchisee, Rich Upson. Hey, Scott. Hey, Rich. How you guys doing today?
Hey, we're doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm great.
Oh, that's
Thanks for having us on the
fantastic.
show.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you. And joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson.
Yes,
Hey,
hi,
guys. Hey, Scott and Rich. Thanks for coming on the show. Rich, I was in San Antonio last year. There was a franchise show. Nice little city. You've been living there a while?
Yeah, we've been here for about 15 years.
Yeah, good. Went along the Riverwalk and did all that good stuff.
Yeah, of course, since we live here, we never go to the Riverwalk anymore. But, one of those things.
That's usually what happens.
You don't do it. But
right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. It's very nice place to live.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Scott, I thought I could start off with you. I know you have an interesting background. What were you doing before joining Fantastic Sams, and how did you become the CEO of this brand?
Well, it's kind of a circuitous story. I've been CFO or CEO of 3 franchise concepts in the past, one in quick service restaurants, golf, believe it or not, and staffing. And as it turned out, I had met at an event the principal from the private equity firm that owns Fantastic Sams, and here I am 5 years later.
That's fantastic. No pun intended. And how many, I guess, can you describe for our listeners, I mean, again, Don and I, of course, are very familiar with Fantastic Sams being in franchising, but for our listeners, can you describe the system?
Well, the system was started 36 years ago by Sam Ross, who was a barber at the time, and he felt that only dealing with men while hair salons did women just didn't make a lot of sense, and so he was one of the developers of the unisex hair salon business, which we've continued to offer as a model. So it's full service, convenient locations, no appointment necessary. And the affordable pricing model. But the way we're organized today is that we have in all major markets either a developing partner or the corporation itself develops the locations and then does the support with the owners like Rich. So, for example, in the Texas market, which encompasses New Mexico, Texas, parts of Louisiana, and Oklahoma, we have 3 region offices that have training facilities, that have certified region educators, and offer support on a one-on-one basis or in groups on a face-to-face training scenario. So we use the web and we use other events to train, but we're really known throughout the industry for face-to-face training with our stylists, managers, and owners.
And Rich, is that part of what you sold you on Fantastic Sams? Talk to us about how you got involved and heard about Fantastic Sams and why'd you become a franchisee?
Well, it's a little bit of a long story, but let me just cut right to it. We went to a franchise expo in Houston when we decided we were going to do our own business, just to try to understand franchising and understand, what was out there. And at that expo, we met a sister company of Fantastic Sams, and through them we got introduced to Fantastic Sams back in San Antonio, and we went through the process with them. It was pretty extensive at the time. They were the region was qualifying us as well as us, deciding if we were a fit for the region. So it was a two-way street.
Right.
But I would say the crucial thing that sold us was the fact that the people involved with the region were salon operators themselves, so they knew the business. They were right in San Antonio, and they were there to help us. And because everybody needs support eventually. I mean, we've done pretty well, but we've needed support along the way. And having people locally who run salons, who understand the business, we felt was the crucial thing that we could get from Fantastic Sams that we couldn't necessarily get from other folks. So that was the key thing that sold us.
Also, maybe the fact, I guess you were looking at long-term goals, the fact that you can open up multiple locations. How many stores do you own now? And I guess, have you followed what your initial goal was of having multiple locations?
Well, actually, we've exceeded it. When we signed up, we signed up for 5 salons. And along the way, things changed. Our daughter started working with us. She worked with us for, I think, maybe about 4 years. And through that period, we decided, listen, we've got some more help here. We can do more, and we should do more because we wanted some more income, of course, to cover my daughter in the business. And so we have now grown to 8 salons, and we also own 2 additional licenses. So the plan would be to do 2 additional, which would get us to 10.
Wow, excellent.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's a great story, great testimony. What about this industry, Rich? Was there something about this? Don and I always say it must be overwhelming today for someone, like yourself or a prospective franchisee to start looking for a franchise. I mean, there's so much out there to choose from. How did you decide, on an industry? And of course, I see how you narrowed it down to Fantastic Sams, but how did you start? I mean, was it going to franchise shows or just researching on the Internet?
Actually, when we first started talking about it, I'd spent 30 some odd years in corporate America, and when we decided, hey, I wasn't having as much fun as I used to, and I was looking for something that my wife and I could do together. The kids were, at the time, were in college and, fixing to move on. So when we started looking at it, our first idea was, hey, let's just start our own business. And it took about a day before we realized, we don't have any idea how to start. Not only did we not know how to start, we didn't know how to sustain a business. So that's when we flipped over to franchising. And really, we hadn't done much on the Internet before this franchise show was available in Houston. So we signed up for that, went over, and we met John Hayes, and they had a good crew there of very knowledgeable folks. And you're right. I mean, there were probably 30 franchise opportunities there. And, we're looking at copy business and food businesses. There was pizza, there was sandwiches, there was, hair cutter, there was the tax guys, and there was a whole array of things. And so we sat down and wrote out some criteria as to, what we were looking for. And we needed a business that we could handle, technologically, something relatively simple. We wanted a business that was a cash and credit kind of business. We didn't want to get into something where we would, have one dominant customer maybe or have a lot of receivables. We wanted something that was recession resistant so that, you wouldn't be doing good for a couple of years and then go in the tank.
Right.
We wanted to get something affordable so that we could own multiple locations so that we could spread our risk. We didn't want to just be in a one location, something that we could only afford one location. And then, of course, we wanted a well-known brand, at least in our marketplace, and a company that had a great reputation. We didn't want to have to go in and try to clean up a mess. We wanted to go in and partner with people who were doing a great job. And we'd, of course, been customers of Fantastic Sams for a long time, so we knew the brand, we knew the reputation, We liked it. And then the final thing is when we met the folks and went through the process, we said, you know what, we can handle this, we can afford it, these guys will help us, and they've got a good plan. And so it was a pretty easy decision at the end because they met all of our criteria, and we felt really comfortable with them.
So, Scott, are you satisfied with that answer? Scott, are you satisfied with
I think Rich is a fantastic validation of the business model, and we try to duplicate Rich all across the United States, believe it or not.
Yeah, and so, there's so many selling points, like Rich had just mentioned, the low cost, it's a brand name, recession, resistant or maybe recession-proof. Everybody has to get their hair cut. But at the same time, there's always going to be lots of competition. So, Scott, how do you parlay, the good things going on with Fantastic Sams to really try to stay ahead of the competition and continue to grow?
Well, there is a lot of competition, and it's really twofold. There are chains like ourselves that do the panoply of services, and that could be haircuts only or full service. But you have the majority of your competition are your mom and pops, your independent salon owners. We very seldom compete head to head with the chains because the chains in total are only about 10% of the market share. So it's really we're always competing with the independent salons.
Right.
And what we find is that on average, and these are industry statistics, is that an independent salon will do about 100 to 125 guests a week. Many of our salons do multiples of that on a regular basis, and so the upside for your guest count, your average ticket, your ability to upsell color services, waxing services, styling services, plus our professional product line, Fantastic Sams product line, gives owners an ample opportunity to really expand their profit and loss statement, in a favorable direction. But our advertising, I think, is one of the key things. This year, just as an aside, all the advertising funds go into a discrete national advertising fund run by a board of which I'm only one of 7 members on the board. It's totally independent of the company. And the charter of the National Advertising Fund is to create compelling collateral for the stores to make sure that the coupons, if we do those, or any kind of local store marketing, is done in a branded way. So this year we've come out with mega kits, a whole new photography approach of high touch but affordable actions within our advertising, and so far as that, it's just started to roll out this past month. All the owners have said, really, it's a step in the right direction for Fantastic Sams, and you'll start to see it in all the national media, public relations that we do, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So we follow the full gamut of support to the owners, and advertising is just one piece of that.
It's nice to have multiple income streams. I'm sure the franchisees are happy about all the stuff going on, and that's another good thing about being part of a franchise system is having that support and having someone else on, having that teammate, so to speak.
Exactly. In many of our markets, like San Antonio, for example, where we have multi-unit owners, they get together regularly with our staff to determine the way forward. What are they going to advertise in? Where is the next development site going to be, and so forth and so on, so that they're not competing with each other. They're competing only with the independents and other chain salons.
Right.
How about technology, Scott? How has technology played a role in Fantastic Sams?
Really in 2 ways. One is that we suggest to our owners very strongly that they buy one of 2 manufacturers for their POS system, and that they really embed themselves in the reports that come out of that, so that they run their salons by the numbers, yet they create a culture of teamwork within the salon themselves. So, and then the second area where technology comes in is how we deliver our education and training. We do primarily face-to-face, But what we found is that with salons that are not in a major metropolitan area, they need the same level of support. So we do live webinars several times a month around the country. We do conference calls if that's appropriate, and then from a use of the internet, we have an intranet as well, which allows the franchise owners to both create their own advertising from the established advertising protocols and also download different things that they need for their salon. For example, operations manuals, MSDS sheets, which are the backgrounds on the products and so forth. And then many of our distributors that deliver the product to the salons will also have internet ordering, so they make the ordering of products that much easier as well. But the nice thing about technology is that it's not going to cut hair. So, you have to come into the salon. Our stylists are trained to cut hair, color, waxing, and styling services, and those will not be put out of business by the internet.
Right. Good point.
That's true. Scott, Rich, we have to take a quick break. Are you able to stick around for another segment?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. That's fantastic. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com. Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Franchise Interviews. We're asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dream of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with the CEO of Fantastic Sams opportunity, Scott Colabuono, and we're also meeting with multi-unit franchisee, Rich Upson. And Don, I think you're up.
Hey, Rich, maybe tell us how the training process went. Then maybe you can follow it up, Scott, with some of the latest things Fantastic Sam's doing with training.
All right. When I signed up, one of the agreements was that I would attend a 1-week training session to, just get my feet wet, understand, go through some of the marketing ideas, the marketing manual, go through the operations manual. And there was a lot of kind of hands-on in the class where we would, work on advertisements, work on promotions, that type of thing. And so I attended that for a week, just shortly before we opened our first salon. And I found it to be very helpful. There were some existing owners that participated from the company side, and then, of course, there were a lot of new franchisees from all over the country in the class. But really more so than that was a 1-week experience. More so than that was the interaction with our region here in San Antonio. Pretty much everything I did early on, I would run through them. I would say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this type of an ad. What do you think? We're thinking about getting a banner and hanging it. What do you think? So it was really, I really probably got more of the, right on the spot help from the region, but I did have the opportunity to go through the corporate training, and I found both to be very helpful.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were up. Sorry, it looked like Don got disconnected.
I'm on,
the next
Marty.
Question is, okay. You did, Don?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Lou. Sounded like you got disconnected. So, Rich, what's been the most interesting thing that's happened to you since owning a Fantastic Sam's franchise?
Well, the most interesting thing, I would say personally, the most interesting thing is several years ago, my wife and I were named franchisees of the year by the IFA, and got to go to the convention, and it was really, we were stunned. I mean, here we are sitting in San Antonio, and we don't know anything, and the next thing we know, we have gotten this award. And so that was probably the most stunning and maybe interesting single event. But I would say, over and above that, probably the most rewarding things that have happened to us in the business involve the people who work with us. We have seen some people grow enormously. They've created great careers for themselves. They've learned. They've been able to accomplish things for us that we probably wouldn't have thought were possible. And just seeing the personal growth of people who work for us has been very, very rewarding. And then as another thing that's been very rewarding in the business is we've had an opportunity to work with community organizations. We've done, right now we're doing Adopt a Highway. A couple of the salons, do that 4 times a year. We've worked with the battered women's shelter. We've worked with a food bank. We've been able to do a lot of things in the community that have just been very rewarding for my wife and I, and as well as the employees.
It's quite an endorsement. I mean, to win the franchisee of the year, Rich. I mean, because there's a lot of, as you know, franchises out there. So congratulations on that. I think that's fantastic. I guess the question is, is how did you do that? What did you do to get that honor? Because it's probably the highest of high honors in franchising, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we were stunned, and I think as I read some of the things that, I mean, obviously we were nominated by a region, and it went up to our corporate office, and they, of course, put us in and everything. I think from what I could see, what maybe set us apart from other people was the community service, the community activities that we were doing. We are not the most profitable franchisees by any stretch of the imagination. We're not the largest. We haven't been at it the longest. So all the numbers wouldn't get us there. But what I think what was kind of intimated to us was that what set us apart was the community service, the activities that we did. And we had a little advantage there, I should mention. 5 of our salons are right in San Antonio proper. 3 of them are in small towns outside of San Antonio. So in those small towns, we do have additional opportunities. In big city, you get lost a little bit. When you get in a small town, you can have a bigger impact. And so, we've done cut-a-thons for cancer patients, and as I said, we do Adopt a Highway. So we get people in the smaller towns know us, and we're important people in those small towns, probably more so than in the big city, even though we do things there. It just gets lost in the noise of everything everybody else is doing.
It must have been nice, too, Rich, winning it in your home city. The IFA show last year was in San Antonio, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was years ago. I think this was in 2005, and we actually traveled to Fort Lauderdale, I think, for the convention. It was in Florida, and I think it was just a little north of Miami. And but it was fun going to the convention. I mean, they had Rudy Giuliani speaking, and it was fabulous. Right. So, but again, I was stunned because it came out of nowhere. I didn't realize that we had been nominated, and at the time, our regional owner called me one day and wanted Lori and I to come over and chat with him. And I thought, oh God, what have we done now? And it was like he told us, and we were like, well, what's that? We didn't know we'd been nominated. We didn't know really what the award was, but it was great, and we had a chance when we were over there to sit in breakout sessions and meet a lot of other great franchisees from around the country who, in their own systems were just as important.
Right.
That's what's also nice about franchising, of course, Rich. You can talk to the other owners, maybe pick up some ideas, and realize, like I said before, it's you're all part of a team, all helping each other and everyone's success.
Yeah, I mean, my background. My background as a corporate executive was logistics, and so a lot of that background doesn't do me a lot of good in a salon. We're not moving a bunch of freight. We're not. We're not negotiating with steamship lines and stuff like that. We're just running salons. So I don't have a background. I'm not a marketing person. I'm not an advertising person. I wish I had more background in some of those disciplines, but I don't. But that doesn't mean I can't be successful as long as I follow the plan. And as you guys say, talk to other people. I mean, my ideas aren't any better than anybody else's, and in a lot of cases, they're not as good. But
right. So, Scott, seeing someone like Rich, who's 100%, hey, I'm, and admitting that don't have the marketing background, came from a completely different industry. Seems like Rich is perfect for the franchise type business where you get the training, ongoing support. Sure. I guess you want everybody to be able to have Rich's attitude and, hey, just follow the system, do what we tell you to do. You're probably going to be successful. I was going to talk to you about characteristics in a franchisee, but I guess Rich has a lot of those.
He does, and he's humble, too, as you've heard, in terms of spreading the success of his salon, along with his people as well. So, that type of motivated, great people person, but wants to control their own future. I worked in corporate America earlier in my career, as did Rich. And, we were ultimately sick and tired of being yanked around by, people in different parts of the country. And, when we look at an entrepreneur, we're looking for those that want to balance their risk with reward. They want to control the future. They want to be. We find that our successful operators are optimistic in their outlook, and also that they believe that they can solve any barrier that's thrown at them. So that's whether it's all of a sudden the shopping center goes under redevelopment, or whether the street is under situations where streets get ripped up by the city and so forth. And they can solve those things because we constantly work with the owners on their local store marketing and other events as well. When we talked about charities, Fantastic Sam's does not do a national charity, but we do have other regional things that we do. We work with Children's Hospital in many of the locations. We do the Susan G. Komen walks in many of our locations. Mm-hmm. We collect hair for Locks of Love, where they create the cancer wigs for cancer patients, and many other charities throughout the United States. And we encourage all of our owners and our region developers to participate in that as well.
I'm glad you brought that up. Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, Rich, we have about 20 seconds. What's the best way, Scott, for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Are there any websites they should go to?
There's two ways. Okay. FantasticSamsFranchises.com and the consumer site, FantasticSams.com.
Fantastic. I want to thank both of you gentlemen again. You've been a fantastic guest, and we'd love to have you back in the near future.
Be happy to do that. Thanks, Don. Thanks, Marty. Absolutely.
Thank you, Scott and Rich.
Thanks so much for having us.
Great show.
Keep up the good work. Great job, guys.
All right, thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye. That was a great show, wasn't it, Don?
Yeah. Have to say, one of our better shows. It's, we have the very person at the very top, and then you have a very successful franchisee who's you're very happy to be part of the system. Was Franchisee of the Year a few years back. It was interesting hearing the story.
It's a great story. I mean, I love hearing stories like that. I mean, what an honor that is to, get that type of award, because, again, there's thousands and thousands of franchisees, and the question is, how do you do that, and you seem like a perfect fit for this franchise opportunity.
And we've done a few shows, Marty, where we had the Franchisee of the Year. Maybe that'll become our niche and specialty. Hey, we have Franchisees of the Year on our show.
Rich got that honor, yeah. So, it was again, as Scott was saying, he's a very humble gentleman, Just great. Well, a really great show. And I apologize I was on the switchboard, Don. We were actually getting people typing in questions, and I didn't, unfortunately, get to them. So, still wondering where I was for like 10 seconds. So go to franchiseinterviews.com, go franchise.com, franchiseworldradio.com, Don, where you can hear all of our shows, and a radio station now just totally dedicated to franchising.
Just started recently. It's going to be big. We're very happy about that, and more listeners, more shows. Things are going well.
Absolutely. So good job, Don, in segment one, and thanks again for everyone listening. And we'll see you again next week I think we got Monty Glitch next week, don't we?
Yep. We're excited about that, right?
Great job, Don. Thanks everyone for listening. Take care.